Hey, Jason Garrett, it only took for your whole receiving core to get injured to realize what you had in your number one pick. Yo, it's week 6 waiver wire. Let's get into it. Holy shit. What up, Pirates? Hey, yo, it's Tuesday, waiver wire. We got to get our voices right. You know, we off the tea and a little bit of rum. Cheers to me and cheers to you, all the rum boys and girls. What it do? Dilly dilly. Let's go. This content is brought to you guys by Monkey Knife Fight. Download the Monkey Knife Fight app utilizing promo code. Well, first that you got to download the app. And then whenever you sign up, utilize this promo code right here, promo code Rumboyz in all caps. Whenever you guys get into the app store, look for that Monkey Knife Fight logo like that. Yo, we are killing it on the props. We are killing on the Monkey Knife Fight props. We've been smashing it over there on monkeyknifefight.com. Monkey Knife Fight Live is also a thing now, so you can get into the live props over there on the Monkey Knife Fight app, and get in on some of those live lines as well. Promo code Rumboyz will match you on your very first deposit all the way up to $100. Whenever you guys create your account and you put in your first deposit, all the way up to $100. Also, this content is brought to you by the SportsMe app. If you want to debate me on something on the SportsMe app, on any of these topics, if you don't like any takes that I have, you can face-to-face go back and forth with me on the SportsMe app. And we'll go ahead and we can sort it out in a video chat, video thread manner. Or if you just want to get your fantasy football questions answered, you can post them up on the SportsMe app and then get at your boy over there on the SportsMe app. All righty, let's go ahead and get into this. We all know what you guys are here for. Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 6, 2021 edition. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this off with the running backs. We start off talking about one Daryl Williams. Daryl Williams, he has 3 total running back carries within the 5 yard within the 5 yard line, within the 5 yard goal line. So whenever they get down to that goal line, that's who they're giving it to. CH is possibly going to be out with the MCL, and we know from covering the David Montgomery situation, okay, maybe like 3 to 4 weeks is what we're talking about. Give him some time to give him some time to rest. Going back to that whole goal line situation, the three total running back carries within the 5. CH has only had 1. CH has been his snap count from week 1 when we were looking at that 93% to now all the way heading into week 5, week 4, he was down to 58.3%. Him and Williams really started to trade off carries throughout the course of the 4 weeks. If there's something that this team just is not seeing in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I don't think that he completely gets phased out, but look for Williams to probably be a guy that you roster the rest of the season. Right now, he's sitting at 20% roster. He is going up against that Washington defense. That Washington defense hasn't been everything that we thought it would have been this season. So with that being said and with that being stated, I love Daryl Williams as a pickup for you guys. Maybe you're tossing out 10 to 20% of your fab. I do believe that he is the running back to go out there and roster. And some of you are going to be like, oh, well, what about McKinnon? Look, like I'm not fucking worried about McKinnon. Unless we're talking in the deeper league formats. Then go ahead and you can run a roster McKinnon, and I have no problems, no qualms with you going to roster McKinnon in deep leagues. But no, like he's averaging 0.22 carries per game. Like that's a total of 1 carry over the course of fucking 5 games. Like no. Next up, we have Devontae Booker. Look, guys, Saquon is out. Saquon is out again. And you guys know around here, I've been very pro, kind of pivoting away from Saquon's, moving around that situation. Maybe not have it as heavily investing across all of your rosters. Maybe if you're in like 13 or so leagues, maybe only one or two of those rosters had Saquon as a first round pick or a second round pick. But we try to draft kind of pivot away from that because we didn't want you guys to kind of get it caught in that injury Ferris wheel. Um, we don't know how long Saquon could be out. With low ankle sprains, it could be minimal. It could be a couple of weeks. You never really quite know with these things. Um, Devontae Devontae Booker, great pickup with the injury to Saquon. I think that he stays as a flex play. I think the volume will be able to be there for Booker. Um, and they didn't even use the rookie. What's his name? Brightwell or something. They didn't even go to him. So Booker's probably the obvious clear cut uh, in this Giants backfield. I mean, of course, with the Giants backfield, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions because of how many injuries are going to are prevalent on this roster, which we'll continue to talk about those. I mean, Daniel Jones, Saquon, Kenny Galladay already ruled out for Week 6. Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. You don't know which either of those guys are going to be coming back. Off of hammies. So super tough there. Hard to diagnose with the Giants. But Booker is definitely somebody. I say he's the second highest running back prospect. If you're in the need for a running back, go get him. I want to make sure that I also put this out there, guys. When you're going to put in waivers, don't just go for like the hottest thing. Go after what you need. Go and get what you need off waivers. Look at your roster and go after what you need. Okay, if you don't need a running back, and you're chock full at running back, that's fine. Okay, go get maybe when we get into receivers, you go get a receiver. Khalil Herbert, Bears going up against the Packers. He's 21% rostered. Man's coming out of Virginia Tech, so we know that I'm going to be slightly, maybe just like a little bit biased, right? Herbert, definitely not a bad prospect. The roster, 34 of 64 snaps, 8 carries yeah, he had eight carries, ran 7 routes on 26 dropbacks. Uh, they didn't have any targets, but Damian Williams had the other 31 snaps. Williams was three or four on those carries inside of the 10. It's looking like that they're gonna split 50-50. And I'm looking at Herbert as more so of a flex option, if anything. And that's okay. I have no problems with you guys picking up Herbert, flexing him, going out there, throwing a $0 fab waiver out there, and just seeing what the fuck happens, right? 9.5 points, 9.5 fantasy points this past week. And I think this kid, could only get better. Everyone that has Herbert in Dynasty, we're probably finally happy to see, like, oh well, like he's kind of getting some burn. 18 rush for 18 times, 75 yards in that win over the Raiders, who are dealing with a lot of bullshit right now, but that's either here or there. Um, that's what that I'm feeling Khalil Herbert. I might pick up Herbert just for the fun of it, just because I need a little Virginia Tech on my rosters. Need that alumni. Uh, let's get into the wide receivers. The wide receivers, Kadarius Toney of the Giants, from putting up a haymaker like stat line to throwing haymakers on the field. 32% roster going up against the Rams. A little bit of a tougher matchup. I do worry, if it's going to be Ramsey on him, if Tony's going to be the prime target, and if practically all the other frickin' starter receivers are out, maybe you don't play, Booker and Tony right out the gate this week because it's like, well, fuck, like Aaron Donald's gonna keep Booker in a box, and Tony, may not see a whole lot with Ramsey possibly having a cover. It's a whole thing this week going up against the Rams. Okay, but with that being said, with that being stated, I don't mind if you guys want to march out there, with Kadarius Toney. I don't mind. For me, it's between Kadarius Toney, Daryl Williams, Devontae Booker is like the top 3 waiver priorities. Those are the top 3 guys I'd be targeting. Maybe Tony and Williams is just like a little bit more. He's 32% rostered. I feel like you guys should get out there and go get him. The guy went completely bonkers. Okay, he went completely bonkers. In his first outing, including punching a guy who's full on wearing a helmet. He did have some like weird ankle injury thingy that I guess happened after he punched the other player. But I mean, 29.6 fantasy points, 54% of the snaps he was out there. He was out there for 78% of the snaps week 4 against New Orleans. Literally, a snap count over the last 3 weeks is 66, 78, 54 for snap percentage. 13 targets for 10 receptions, 189 yards. You gotta love getting that type of stat line out of a first round rookie. Jason Garrett, fucking shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. I'm on rah rah rah. I'm on rah rah rah. Ooh la 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 la. Stuck in a bad offense. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Having to go up against the Bengals, 19% rostered. The Bengals are an okay defense. But if Cephas, for some reason, has to miss another week, I know Terrell Williams may or may not be back. If those guys are gone, these targets, the targets have to go somewhere, and that's where Amon-Ra St. Brown comes into play. This Lions team, I mean, poor Lions, tough for the Lions. Coming up in so many short, very short, disappointing defeats against team. I mean, this team goes out there, they play hard. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 7 receptions on 8 targets for 65 yards in that 1917 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. He's had 13 fantasy points in his last 2 outings, 13 and a half against Minnesota, 13 against Chicago. He's out there upwards of 60% of the snaps more times than not. Only against Baltimore was the time that he was out there for 43% of the snaps. But I mean, he's out there for 69% of the snaps this past week in week 5. I expect that to keep going. I think that Amon could be a must add with Cephas and Raymond both out. Williams, don't know if he's going to return. What the deal is with that? Amon-Ra St. Brown been a factor of frankly just everyone going down. So I'm willing to put Amon back on my roster after I've dropped him in a couple of leagues and across a couple of places. Next guy that I'm going to talk about, 40% rostered, is on a bye week. That's Marquez Callaway of the Saints. You have the Saints and the Jets both on buys this week. Callaway, I think you can hold off giving him a roster spot. Probably should have more so put him in like the honorable mention category. But if you want to hold on to him, if for whatever reason Michael Thomas does Michael Thomas things and like he's like, I'm not going to return, like Traquan Smith, maybe has to hold out. Maybe have to sit an extra week, following the bye. Marquez Callaway's not bad. Deontay Harris, he's going to probably miss some time due to injury. So Callaway, I don't think that maybe throw a $0 fab out there and let it happen. But I don't think you need to run out there right now, just because of the bye week type of scenario. Nicole Harbin. Nicole Harbin is the only scenario where you can handcuff a wide receiver like in the absence of Tyreek Hill, right? Going up against Washington, we know how fucking terrible that Washington secondary has been. That Washington secondary has been atrocious. If you look on film, the front line is doing what they got to do. That secondary, you can pass on Washington. If for whatever reason Tyreek Hill has to miss, Mikko Harmon did have nine receptions for 76 yards. I mean, they lost that game to against the Bills, but I mean, he's technically supposed to be the two there. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, if they have to miss more time, or if they're gonna miss more time, uh, I don't see the Chiefs feeling like they have to roll their studs out against fucking Washington as weak as Washington has been. Uh, Honestly, don't see Washington winning this game, let alone. So Harmon, that's like if you have Reek rostered, and if Reek misses this week, you need to go and get Harbin. That is what you're doing. Like, you could go and get Kadarius Toney, but I mean, just know that he's going to be facing the Rams. You have a softer matchup with Harbin up against the Washington secondary. If I have Hill on my roster, and if Hill's probably going to miss some time, I'm going to just go right over to Nicole Harbin and just like, yo, bro, throw him maybe like $2-3 over the fab. Call it a day. Call it a day. Play on that budget. Balling on a budget. Balling on a budget. And that's how I say that we run that one. Hunter Henry. Wow. Why? I don't know why it says his team. It has his team wrong. I must have like fucked that up. When I was in post production, but Hunter Henry, who plays for the Patriots, will be going against Dallas. 51% rostership for Henry. He looked good. He looked good last week against Houston, putting up 19 and a half fantasy points. He's had a TD in both of his last two outings. Hauled in 6 of his 8 targets for 75 yards in that one TD. Like, here's the thing. Hunter Henry and Jonnu, the efficiency is the same, but it looks like they're running Henry out there a little bit more. Okay. And it's starting to look like they're giving Henry more of the targets and going to Henry a lot more. Do I think that Jonnu is still going to be efficient? Yes. But Hunter Henry is going to get his, and we knew that this was going to happen with these two up in New England. We knew that Billy Belichick was going to do this. That bad man Billy Belichick, he was going to run 12 personnel. He was going to make them both effective roster pieces. I don't think it's necessarily a case of like if you're going to roster one or the other. Henry has that ability to kind of float within that top 12 tight end range. Right now he's a tight end 9 on the year, so something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. Next up, Ricky Seals-Jones, Washington, having to go up against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's 4% roster right now. You could go and get him. This is a guy over his last 2 weeks has just had great production. The volume is there. He's seeing the field. With Curtis Samuel being injured, he's gonna see the field even more. Week 4 in Atlanta, 93% of the snaps. Week 5 against New Orleans, 99% of the snaps. With Logan Thomas still, being on IR, currently on the IR, and Thomas slated to miss at least the next 2 games, you should be getting pretty decent output from Ricky Seals-Jones. I think that Ricky Seals-Jones could actually make some pretty decent leaps. You got him against Kansas City, Green Bay, and Denver, and then on a bye before having to take on Tampa. So like that's 3 games that you may be able to get some production out of him. And maybe they honestly sit Thomas before the bye, depending on how the season is going. I like Ricky Seals-Jones. I like Ricky Seals-Jones, especially that matchup against Kansas City, just because that Kansas City defense is fairly porous. I expect Heineke and Seals to connect, to connect fairly well. He's only like roster like 4 or 5%, so go get him. Go get him if you're hurting for tight end. Quarterbacks, of course, Russell Wilson is injured on your roster. Go get you go get you Geno Smith, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not necessarily trusting Geno Smith to go out there and lead this offense. But I mean, if you're in super flex, you kind of really have no option but to roster Geno Smith, right? So maybe you go and you get you some Geno Smith if you got Danger Russ out, and you don't have like a third quarterback on your roster. You're like, fuck, like I need to go make this happen. That's your waiver priority if you're out of a quarterback. Another quarterback you go get, and this guy gets upgraded 0% rostered right now, but going up against the Rams, probably don't play him against the Rams, but Mike Glennon. I'm not rostering Mike Glennon, but if you guys want to, you can. It's the Rams. Like he's gonna have a tough outing. He's gonna have long neck ass Mike Glennon gonna have a tough outing. Defense to stream this week. The Colts versus the Texans. They're 31% rostered. It's the Texans. I get that Mills look good, but I mean, we could kind of chalk that up to Mac Jones just looking really well the previous week against the Bucs and then not looking well, having to go up against what should have been a blowout for the Patriots, but we'll leave that be neither here or there. The Colts look really good on Monday night against the Ravens. I think they take it to the Texans and they pull out a win against the Texans. And that Colts defense is stout, as we saw. Some honorable mentions that you guys can also go after. Hunter Renfrow, he's about like 53, 55, some shit like that, percent rostered. You go after Hunter Renfrow, you know what you're going to get out of Hunter Renfrow. You know what you're going to get. David Njoku, I'm not fooling around with the Browns tight ends, but if you want to, go for it. Dan Arnold, Trevor Lawrence and Dan Arnold, they're connecting. Dan Arnold's kind of taking over. Whoever's been going out there for tight end for Duval, they're doing work. Geo Bernard, I'm staying away from the Bucs running backs, but if you want to go ahead, I don't mind. You know, if all the other running backs are gone that we discussed, go for Geo. Tyson Williams, it looks like that they're probably going to start getting him back working into the mix of things, which I like. I like a lot. David Mills, for Houston, if you need a quarterback. AJ Dillon, again, you know, going back to the running backs. I'm not an AJ Dillon truther. I don't know why they were using AJ Dillon so much this week, but they could very well go back to not using him. I think it was just a week where him and Aaron Jones were just kind of having a split, and AJ Dillon was just doing well with it. Chris Moore, receiver for Houston, not really. I don't think that's going to be much of a thing, but maybe he could be the two, to Brandon Cooks there. And then finally, Rashad Bateman of the Baltimore Ravens. Bateman should be on his way back, so you go get Bateman. And then finally, some drops. Bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. Cole Beasley. You guys, many of you have been looking for reasons to not have to play or focus on Cole Beasley. Emmanuel Sanders is becoming the two there. Dawson Knox is getting a lot of the targets and lining up in the slot a lot, where Beasley was once successful. So Beasley's a drop. Rojo's a drop. Robert Tonyan hasn't done shit this whole season. Drop. And then KJ Osborne was a fun experiment while it lasted, but with Thielen and Jefferson, you know, really just taking over for that offense and being what we knew that they could be. KJ Osborne, kind of a thing of the past. And I mean, if you guys don't want to necessarily run and go drop those, you know, that's fine. But those are guys I would drop to pick up any of these options that we discussed today. This has been the Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 6 for 2021. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Spike that like on this video, and leave a comment. On anything really. Who you guys are going after if you won your matchup. Any fantasy football questions, drop in the comments. Let's go. Y'all know how we do it here on the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. Channel's been moving and grooving. Channel's been doing great. So I appreciate you guys. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rumboys and girls. What it do. Dilly, I'm out of here.
Holy shit.